Okay, so let me apologize first for how jerky this video is probably going to be because I'm going to pick up the, so I'm filming this on my iPhone 13 Pro, which is on a DJI Osmo 3 mobile gimbal, which is on top of a tripod. I can't remember the name of it, but it's pretty amazing. But not as amazing as this thing. So we've had the tonal now for, what is today, Thursday? So we've had it for 8 days. Started using it 6 days ago on Friday. We didn't have time when it got installed late Wednesday, and then Thursday I think I was setting up the accounts for it or something, I forget now, but Friday was my first workout. I think my wife had her first workout a couple days ago, and I won't speak for her, although I think she feels pretty much the same way. I'm completely blown away. I mean, to say that this machine is amazing is just a dramatic understatement. What they've done with, well, just the whole idea of it is amazing. But that it works so well, and what they've done with the software and the training. Now, I have to confess, I've only taken one class so far. I took what was called a beginner's class on, I think that was Monday of this week, so 3 days ago. And it was 45 minutes long. I only got about through 15 minutes of it, and that was late in the morning. And I think I had only had a Cliff Bar that morning for breakfast, intentionally, because I knew I wanted to work out with this. But it's still, and I'm 61 years old, I was only able to get to about 15 minutes of it, and it completely wore me out. Now that involved, that particular workout, supposedly for beginners, maybe not 61-year-old beginners, but that video involved both training with the machine and doing some things like non-push-up burpees and another exercise on the floor that I can't remember what it was called. But good overall body workout. But since then, I've done a lot of exercises on this thing. And I want to do a separate video. In fact, I will do a separate video on a feature that's on here that I haven't seen on anyone else's tonal video. And to me, this feature is what, I apologize for yelling there, I'm so excited. But that particular feature I'm going to tell you about. I apologize, I touched the screen and it shut off, so I'm back. But that feature that I'm going to do a separate video on, to me, is maybe the most amazing feature of this, other than the things I haven't learned about in the first week, and I'm still learning. Okay, but today's video is about a shelf for the tonal devices, and before you jump to conclusions, it is not the shelf that Tonal sells. So if you have a tonal, or if you've been on Tonal's site because you're wanting to learn about this, thinking about getting one, you'll notice that they sell a shelf for the accessories, which you can see I now have on the floor here behind me, and next to the tonal. They sell a shelf to hang those on and to set things on, like the roller you'll see over there. They sell a shelf that is, I should check this before I say this, but it's, I think, 16 inches wide and has 4 places to hang 4 items. And they sell that for $249, I believe. I'll check that on their site again and correct it. Put something on the screen here that corrects it if I'm wrong about that price, but I think that's right. I think it's, you can hang 4 items, the 2 handles, the rope, and the handle bar, or the bar that come with the tonal. So you can hang those 4 items, and then you can set things on the shelf like the roller there. And like I said, I think that's $249, $250 approximately. I didn't want to pay that for a shelf, and plus I saw some potential for growth, that maybe at some point they would add ankle straps, right? So if you wanted to do that type of exercise. I've also seen a non-tonal device online. I forget who it was. Maybe it was Joey B. He does a lot of tonal videos. Seems like a great guy. Hi Joey. We don't know each other. And there's a curl bar that you can buy on Amazon, which I think is like $80, $90, something like that. And so that's another one I've considered getting, but they aren't officially supported by Tonal. However, because there might be some future growth there, I didn't want to pay $250 for a shelf to hang 4 things on when I might need more space in the future. So that takes us to what we did decide to buy. And this is where the video is going to get jerky because I'm going to kind of walk you around here. So I'm just going to pick up the tripod and I'm going to bring it over here, and hopefully you can see that. Let me lower the camera a bit. So this is our home office desk. So this is what we got, and you can find it online at TonalShelf.com. I don't think there's a dash in there, but they are not, this is not Tonal. This is a completely separate company, and I have not opened this box yet, so I'm not endorsing it at this point. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but what I did like about this is that they give you a few options on here. One is you can get a, I think it's a 16-inch, or maybe it's an 18-inch wide shelf, or long, however you want to look at it. Or you can get the one we got, which is 24 inches. And the one with that is 24 inches long, you can get 6 hangers on the bottom of it. So now we have enough to hang the two, the 4 accessories, essentially, the 2 handles, the rope, and the bar that come with the tonal. And we've got room for some future growth. In addition, they will let you pick what color you want the hangers, the clips on the bottom of the shelf to be. And so that was good for me. I chose gray. I considered white. And they also sell in aluminum for an increased price. And they've got a bunch of other colors. I don't know exactly what they are, but you can see it on their website. There's red and green and blue and rainbow colors. So you can get 6 different colors if you want. So for this, for the smaller version with the 4 clips on the bottom, it is $80, $79.99. And for this one with the 6, only paid $89.99. Now, that's still a lot of money for a shelf, but we needed to do something with these accessories. And that is still, let's just call it 90, and we'll call the one on Tonal 250. In that case, that's a $160 savings over what Tonal charged. But again, I don't know what I'm going to find in here. So it might be great, it might be horrible and look horrible, and I'll decide not to hang it at all. But I thought I'll open it and we'll find out together whether or not this is something you should consider buying. So let's just do that. You still see all that? Yeah. All right. So there's some, this is going to make a mess, I can tell. All right. So you can see it's just surrounded by cheap styrofoam in here. It looks like there's a manual. Yep. B shelf 6, it says. So I assume that refers to the 6 clips on the bottom. And let's see what else we've got here. I'm going to, even though I don't want this styrofoam all over the office desk here, I can vacuum that later, I guess. All right, let's see if that's enough to get it out of there. All right, something just fell. Okay, so let's just look at this together. So here it is from the front. All right. No surprise, nothing really on the sides. I'll let you see the back of it here as well. And so that it says they're made in China. It's a couple holes, which I am assuming will be 16-inch on center to attach to 2 studs on the wall here next to the tonal. And then on the bottom, that's the gray collared clip that I chose. Because the only reason we didn't want black was because we thought, well, it'll just be easier to see. Just visually, it's easier to see and to clip in here. And, on some parts of the tonal, like when you twist the arms around, the metal behind that's kind of gray. You know, I've got some gray here on the work desk, as you can see here in my little keyboard and mouse mat. So I thought this was a, you know, kind of a compromise. We originally were going to get white, and then just at the last minute I thought, you know, maybe we don't need something that bright. The gray is kind of a, you know, in between the black and white. So this is a color that I think works for us and works well with the tonal itself. That's what it looks like. That's just styrofoam. Okay, so, yep, it looks like we have the bars in here. Oh, I see it. It's just one piece. So let me, well, let's see here. I don't want this thing to come crashing into my computer monitor there because it's, well, this looks to be covered with a bunch of dust, and I don't think that's styrofoam dust. It looks like it's just dirt from where it's set in a factory. So that's a little disappointing that they wouldn't take the time to, you know, have some sort of a process there where they clean this thing. But undoubtedly, this thing will screw, you know, onto the wall. Don't know how exactly yet. And then the shelf will just slide onto these. So maybe these aren't 16 on sitter. I'll have to measure this and see, but maybe the screws out on the end, the screws holes out on the end, and I'm assuming there are screws in there. Maybe those are 16 on center. So we'll have to figure that out and then slide this thing on there. I'll read the instructions and walk you through any parts of that. So that's what's in the box. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm gonna set this down over here on the tonal bench. Well, I'm gonna set the shelf there, but I'm gonna keep this thing. I think I see a bag down there. Let me try to get the rest of this out. Yes, okay, it does have the screws. Easy. All right, so it's got a piece of tape here that broke up that says hardware on it, and as you can see, it's got drywall anchors, and then it looks like about a half a dozen screws in there. Well, a couple different types of drywall anchors. Now, I don't think I'll need those because I think I have two studs here. I'm going to get my stud finder. My Zircon M4 stud finder and make sure that I've got two studs in the right spot there and at the height that my wife would like this to be hung, and then hopefully all I will need is the screws if I can get these into two studs. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video here for a moment, and I'm going to go clean this thing off because frankly, I'm kind of disgusted. Is that just me being an old man? God, I hope not. I hate getting old, but I hope that's not just me being a mean old man. I'm not mean, but being a cranky old man, that this thing is so dirty. It just frustrates me. You know, you get something, you want it to look like new, and this does not look like new. It looks like it's, you know, been sitting in a warehouse or a factory for a long time. So I'm going to pause the video, stop rambling, go clean that off, and then I'm going to get my stud finder. And let me just show you the intent. So there's the tonal. So the intent, I think this is the far stud. So we've got two studs. You know, I think that's a stud. If you can see that little mark in the wall, and that's about the height that's about the height that my wife wants it hung. And then there'll be another one 16 inches here. So this is kind of where we see it being installed. Is right there. So let me go clean this off. I'll pause the video, go clean this off, get my stud finder, and then we'll come back and see if we can get this done today. Okay, so I've turned on the lights in here. Let me turn that fan off. Turn off the ceiling fan because that'll stop some of that fluttering on the video, hopefully. So according to the instructions here, which are right behind me, let me just turn this around again so you can see. And I'll lower this. So according to the instructions, I'm just going to need essentially a screwdriver, a pencil, a level, and a hammer. Don't know why I'm going to need a hammer, especially one that appears to be a sledgehammer, but we'll find out. Okay. All right, so it says to, it's got a couple of methods here, so I can hold the bar. Oh, and let me digress for just a minute. I took the shelf into the kitchen with me along with this bar to clean it all off. When I got it in the kitchen where there was better light, because I didn't have the lights on in here before, it was just as dusty or dirty as this thing, really filthy. So that's, again, a little disappointing. I should have cleaned the inside of those things too. Probably can't see that on video, but they're pretty disgusting inside too. All right. All right, so it looks like, yeah, so it screws, oh, it looks like there's a little bit of a problem here, I just noticed. So this is a manufacturing defect, I'm assuming. So you see we have two round holes, or I'm sorry, three. There's one in the middle, and one in the other lower corner. And on the top here, then we have these oval-shaped holes. 1, 2, 3, and then this one, which did not get punched out at the factory. So I don't know if I'll be able to use a screwdriver or a punch and pop that thing out of there. Hopefully it's not in there very well if I need to use that particular hole. Okay, so just seeing what the options are. Yeah, so it does want me to use 6 screws to screw this thing in. It looks like the 2 on the end here would go into the stud. Let's just measure that and see if it is 16 on center to those holes. And yes, that's good news. They do appear to be. Let me just check the small holes just to be certain. Center there. And yes, they are exactly 16 on center. So yeah, so these 2 holes on the end, both the top and the bottom, including that one I need to punch out, they are 16 inches, so that's good. But it looks like it wants me to put 6 screws in into all of, does it use that middle hole? No, it does not seem to use this middle hole. And then slide the shelf onto this. Oh, I see. It's not a hammer. I'm sorry. It's a rubber mallet, and that's for tapping in the drywall anchors if you want to use those, or if you need to use those. Obviously, if you can put it on 2 studs, that's ideal. But if you can't, you could use the drywall anchors. So then you just slide so we'll put this on the wall. You'll watch me do that. And then this will just slide onto this. I guess it doesn't matter. I guess there is no up or down. No, it seems to show the holes, the circular holes being at the bottom. So that slides in there. And then what you probably couldn't see that I didn't, because I didn't show you, is on the bottom of this, there are holes. See there and there. And so once you get this screwed into the wall, and then the shelf slid onto the bars, then there are a couple of holes here in the bottom, which I'm assuming and hoping will line up. Now, why there aren't, since there were 2 holes in the pole, why there aren't 2 holes Actually, now that I look at that, that doesn't even line up. That does not even appear to line up with that. So I think these are in the wrong spot. Maybe there's something I'm misunderstanding, but it does not look to me like that hole. And it could just be my camera. Well, yeah, sometimes it does look like it lines up. Yeah, maybe I just didn't look at it right. Yeah, when I look at it off the camera, I'm not looking at the camera lens, it does appear it lines up. So, however, it's not at the exact right depth, but I don't think that will matter. Because once it's good enough. Yeah, that's good enough. But since there are 2 holes in each of those poles that go inside the shelf, I don't know why there aren't 2 countersunk screw holes, right? So there should be one here and another one about right, well, probably about right there. It seems like that's a little bit of a design flaw. I don't think it's going to be an issue, a practical issue, but probably something that could be fixed in the next iteration of this. Okay, so this does not look difficult. I'm going to go grab my stud finder. I forgot to do that when the camera was off. I'll grab my stud finder and then I'll mark these holes on the wall. And this should literally only take a few minutes. And I'll grab my electric screwdriver or a drill driver. Oh, it does say in the stud it wants you to do a pilot hole. I did miss that. An 8mm pilot hole. All right, I can do that. All right, let me stop this and then I'll rearrange the camera. I'll go out and get the stud finder and, oh, sorry. I did something wrong there. My camera must be. There we go. Okay, so hopefully you'll be able to see everything there. All right, let me pause this and I'll go get the tools I need. So something just occurred to me as I was just kind of holding this up to the wall because we envision it being approximately right there. Because we think we have, and I haven't checked all the studs yet, but we think we have a stud there and a stud sorry for the pause. I'm just wondering if I measured something wrong. So if this is oh, okay, it doesn't go the length of that. All right, yeah, so that's fine. I thought, well, this is way longer than 16 inches, so how's that going to work? But that bar is not the same length as the shelf. Let me show you what I mean. So when you slide this into the holes, as you can see, a lot of room left on either side. And you got a border here, plus you got all this space before the bars start. Same thing on the other side, all this space and then a little border. What's important, of course, is that these holes are 16-inch on center, and I measured those earlier, and they are exactly 16 inches. So anyway, but here's my concern. If we put this thing up here, and it's gonna mount approximately right, let me just make sure if I've got this in the right spot. So there's one of our end holes. So it's gonna mount approximately right there. And that, the tonal, is also mounted to 2 studs. My concern is this going to affect using this or putting it away? And so let's do a little bit of a test here. I will bring this arm out. Let's just lock it into the first spot there, and then I'll open it up. So I don't think it stops us from using the tonal because the farthest, let's see, what's the farthest back that it will lock? Oh, sorry, I don't have it turned off. That was not smart. I forgot it was turned off or it was in sleep mode. Here, I don't actually need that for right now. So now, taking it out of sleep mode, so this thing has a, okay, I think it's a non-issue, but here's a problem that I think we're going to run into, and I'll show you this after I have it installed, so you'll see what I mean even better. So the first locking position for this is right there, right? So I don't think that's a problem, because if this thing is hanging up there, approximately right there, you can see it's not going to, anything that hangs from here, that's not going to be an issue, right? Because I'll never have the bar farther over than this. And at least so far, none of the exercises I've done, and again, I haven't done, I think I've only done maybe 20 of the 200 plus exercises on here, but none of the ones I've done or even seen on there so far take the arms out this far. But even if they do, I think we're okay. But here's where you might have a problem if you're not familiar with this. One thing we learned about tonal after we got it is that when you want to put the bars back, when you want to put the machine up for the night or the day or whenever you want to put it up, you want to turn the arms around and hide them around back, and it's perfectly designed to do that. So it just looks as sleek as it possibly can. Well, here's the problem, is that if you lower the bar right here, you cannot turn this by pressing the button. You can't continue to twist this around back. Now watch, hopefully it won't prove me wrong. Well, hopefully it will. Yeah, no, I'm right. You cannot push the button that rotates the shoulder. That's what they call this little curved piece here, the shoulder. This button is normally what rotates the shoulder around this way. But when this arm is down, you can't use the button to rotate. Oh, well, there it did it. And there it didn't. Oh, so you just have to pull it out a bit. Oh, and then it works. Okay. Well, in that case, then I don't think we have any problem, because this does work, even though that's the first time my wife or I have been able to get that to work. So there's a little extra click you have to hear there. There it is. And then it'll work. But I don't know what's causing that to engage. Maybe I need to read the manual. Maybe there's a double click, or I have to hold down. Okay, that'll work. There it is. Okay, now it seems to be working fine. Huh. All right. Well, let's test it with this arm. See if we get the same. Okay, I'm locked into place. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm off camera there, but in that case, then we don't have any problem, because that means we can take the bar. Let's just do a test here. That means even if the bar is rotated over here and I'm done with it and I decide to put it up, so I lower it. Now let's see, even from this position, can I still hit the button and rotate it all the way around into sleep mode, or not stored, into a stored position, let's call it. Okay. Nope, so let me move that. Okay, no, it's not letting me move that. All right, so I guess that might. Okay, if I bring it out, okay, there it's letting me do it. So maybe I'm just not pulling hard enough. Yeah, it'll do it. I'm just not. Yeah, it works fine. It's just me being too gentle because I'm scared to death of hurting this machine because I like it so much. All right, so that does seem to work, so it doesn't matter that this is going to be close to the tonal, which is a good thing from a practical perspective, because you want the accessories to be hanging close by so that it's easier for you to use them. It's been a little bit of a, not a major hassle, but a little bit of a hassle that they've been on the floor for a week and we just had to bend down and swap them every time. This will obviously be much, much easier. Okay, so I feel good about that. Ideally, we wanted them on this side of the tonal because my wife and I are both right-handed. So we thought, well, this would be even easier, but we don't have enough space between the door here to hang it and still be able to open this door. Because the next stud is right where the switch is. That obviously sits on the side of the stud like they all do. And then the next one would be 16-inch over, so we'd be all the way over, literally by the door there, so we didn't want to do that. So this is really our only practical choice. And this is going to be a little bit tight for us over here because in this space here, not this close to the wall, but about right here, you can't see how far I am out from the wall. But anyway, we're going to have a treadmill here, which is going to be a fold-up treadmill. So it will fold up towards that wall. And when we have it down, unfortunately, it's going to come out so far that one of us can't be on the treadmill and the other one using the tonal. Except that if we had this arm out and lifted, and we wanted to just focus on exercises that use just one arm, we would be able to do that because that would be outside of the treadmill space. All right, I digress. Okay. So now I just need to put this bar up and mark my spots where the screws are going to go with my level. Well, I need to punch that hole out. I need to punch that metal out. Maybe that's the first thing I ought to do. I wonder, I have my tool bag here, but I don't think I have a punch here. I might have to go out to the garage and get a punch. Let me try a Phillips screwdriver, see if it's enough to do it. No, doesn't look like it. I think I'm gonna have to go put this in, I don't have a vise, but I have a workbench. Hopefully. Oh, that does not look like it's gonna be easy. Okay. Okay, if I'm using the screws, wants me to use all 6 of them. That's method 1. Method 2. Yeah, I still have to use that. Okay, well, because I have to be able to use this hole that they failed to punch out at the factory, I've got to figure out a way to punch that out. I don't know if I have it, because it actually does look like it's soldered in there. Not soldered, that's not the right term, but it doesn't look like it's loose fitting. So I'm going to take it out, put it on a little mobile workbench I've got, and see if I can knock it out with a hammer and a hole punch. That's all I can do is hope that that'll work. And if I can't, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'll be back with an answer. Okay, so I got out my little mini workbench from Lowe's. Trying to remember the name of it. Anyway, got that out, put this under a couple of clamps, and took a hole punch. I can't even remember which side it was now, but took a hole punch, tapped the hole punch 10, 15 times with a hammer lightly, and pretty soon that little black tab that was in there fell onto the garage floor. So that was an easy enough fix. All right, so now I have a reasonable level of confidence because of the sound of this hollow stud. Plus there's a hole there where there used to be something hanging on there. So I'm pretty confident there's a stud right there. I don't know exactly what the edges of it are. Now let's go down to here. We'll go right below it. I think that means I didn't set it up right. There we go. Yeah, that's lining up right with that hole. So I think that's the center. So I'm going to, I'll just do a pilot hole. It says in the manual that you need a 8mm bit. I went to Google Home, and it converts 8mm to 0.315 inches, and then it converts that to, I don't think that's right. It converts that to 1/8 of an inch. Well, actually it converted it to 8/64 and 4/32, but either way, that comes down to 1/8. So, and that's what I have here is an 1/8 inch bit. I have to say that does not look like it would be too thick for these. That may be too thick for the screws. That's cutting it a little bit close. I'm going to go for a smaller one because I can always make the hole bigger. So I'm going to drop all the way down to, grab one of those screws out. So I got 6 of these that I've got to get in there. This is my, let me just make sure I read it right. Yeah, this is my 1/8 bit. So maybe that's about right, but I'm a little bit scared of making the hole too big and then this screw doesn't stick in there very well. So I'd rather go smaller. So I'm going to drop down 2 sizes and then let the thread make its own. And in the set that I have, 2 sizes down is 3/32. So I feel better about that, although I don't frankly feel great about it, but well, yeah, actually that's pretty good. I wonder if I can even go 1 size smaller. Let's just be extra safe. I'll go even 1 size smaller than that, and that would be 5/64. So that's the size I'm going to go down to. Let me try to hold that the way I was looking at it. So you can see that the threads are bigger than that. And this is probably even a little bit smaller than the stem of the screw itself. So I'll go with this. If I need more, I'll go up. All right, so I need to mark the holes, or mark my spots. So I've got my thread picked, got my 6 screws. Let's hold this thing up there and mark our spots for our pilot holes. And let me just make sure I'm doing that the right way. Does it have the circular? Yeah, it has the circular holes on the bottom in the instructions and the oval holes on the top. So if we assume, let's use that. I'm not sure it matters a lot. So I'd be a little higher that way. I'd rather it be more comfortable for my wife, so let's keep it a bit lower. Now we'll level that up. hopefully. Okay. So that's level. Oh, that thing is bent. Or my wall is, one of the two. All right, and I allowed it to tilt a little bit. So there is perfectly level. All right. I'm going to go just a hair higher on that. Just to make sure I've got it lined up. So here's our middle. There's one. There's one. I'm just going to mark the little holes right in the center. There's one. That one's a little high, actually. There. There's one, of course, that one, and then that one. All right. Well, I've got my pilot holes. We'll do this first one just to make sure we actually have a stud here, and I'm reasonably sure I'm away from the electricity because the outlet is on this stud. I hope I'm right about that. Let's just put a screw in that. And I should have brought in another drill driver, but that's all right, we can make this work. And this will tell us if our pilot is, actually I don't even need that to start the pilot. This will tell us if our pilot is big enough. Well, I've definitely hit a stud, that's the good news. The bad news is I might strip it before I get it in there. Let's take it off at drill mode. But it's got quite a bit of torque on it. That's probably enough. Okay. Okay, so now the question is, did that pilot work for this because that's a prior hole that was already bigger, or will it also work for the next one? I don't know the answer to that yet, but we're going to find out. So I'm going to try to hang this on that one screw and then turn it. Got it backwards, didn't I? do lining up my holes. But I won't know until I put the level on it. Yeah, it does not look like I got this one over right below it. I'm not even close on that one. All right. Oh yeah, I was off. I was definitely off. Although, this will slide a little bit. Maybe that'll make a difference because I'm not really in the center of that hole. There I'm in the center, but still I'm off a little bit. You know, I'm not sure. I know they want me to put 2 more holes in there for those 2 drywall screws in there. I just can't imagine that 4 of these screws, as sturdy as they are, put into these 4 corners into studs, that isn't going to be enough. I just can't imagine that won't be enough. So I think I'm going to skip those and just do the drywall screws. Because these accessories just don't weigh very much. I mean, even that bar, which is the heaviest one, is very light. So I feel confident about that. So let me, now I've got that in there, I can get this nice and level. Okay, that's perfectly level. Now I can put a pilot hole right there. That is perfectly level. So maybe I'll go to the bottom one here, and we're going to find out if I hit a stud on this. I think we did, but I'm not 100% sure. I wish my bit was a hair longer. Oh, that was the drywall, of course. good enough start. This one started. Good workout. There's my apple rings telling me I can still do it. Perfect timing. Come on, don't strip. Stay level, hopefully. Oh yeah, yeah, maybe. Maybe a hair off, but not much. Yeah, barely. A little off, but not bad. Let's see, if I was gonna move it, maybe up or down, it would be slightly up. That just leaves us one more pilot and one more screw. As far as we're going to go. Oh, I got to that one. Just to make sure. All right, I feel good about that. And exhausted about that. All right, so now this should just slide on there, and then I'll just have 2 screws to put into the bottom that will go up through the bottom of the shelf and into that. bit of a gap there. I had to tug that one in, kind of start it here, and then I had to reach in and pull that towards the center because this bar was bent. And once I got it screwed into the wall, I think it flexed it. You know, it caused it to come out like this. Well, I have to apologize. I've been here for the last half hour talking to the camera, thinking that you were watching me install this. And I did not realize that my camera had went off. So I'll try to give you a brief summary. In that bracket that I showed you earlier, I put it up to the wall. I screwed in the top left screw. I drilled a pilot hole, which is 5/64 of an inch. That's what I use. I drilled a pilot hole with the bracket up there in the top left corner, then put the first screw in there, and it was tough to get it in towards the end because I didn't have a long enough drill bit. So as it got towards the end, it got a little bit tough. But I used that to sort of secure it up there just tight enough to where I could swing it until it was level. Then I put the level on it, made sure it was level, drilled another pilot hole into the into the bottom right corner, put the second screw in there, and then after that, of course, it was set, right? So it was solid, it was level. Then I screwed in the top right and the bottom left screws, well, made pilot holes for them, and then screwed those in. And there was a problem that I had, and that was, and I don't know if it's because my wall is warped or because the bracket was slightly warped inward. But I noticed when I got the left end screw, the initial screw into the left corner, that this side was sort of bowed out. That wasn't a big problem because it had some flexibility to it. The problem came once I got it all the way screwed in on both sides, and then I went to slide this onto those two posts. That bow, let me put my tape measure down. That bow had caused the two posts to bow out slightly. I'll over-exaggerate to make my point. To bow out this direction. And as a result, they did not line up with the holes that are in the back of the shelf itself. So what I had to do, the alignment wasn't way off, but it was off enough that what I did was I got it slightly in onto one hole, this hole here. I got the hole on this side slightly onto the post for this side. Then I reached around here and I grabbed the other post and I pulled it, gently but forcefully, pulled it just enough to get this tap to where it would insert into the hole. And then I just sort of had to gently tap it a little bit at a time until it was all the way back. And then the good news was the two screws that go up in the bottom, there are two countersunk screw holes in the bottom of this, and that screws this up into two holes that are in those posts. And those aligned perfectly once I got it in there. So those screws went in with just a regular screwdriver, no problem. On the holes going into the two studs, of course, I used a drill driver to get those in, drill driver. And that made that easier. Not to say it was easy. If I had had the recording on, you would have seen I struggled with it a bit. So anyway, but it all came out really good. I've hung our 4 accessories up here, and let me just show you that these hooks. So these hooks go up into the slots, up inside of that, which you saw earlier in the video, and then you turn them 90 degrees, and then right in the middle of those round clips, there's a little divot like this that these can sit down inside of. So when you insert these and turn them 90 degrees, if you go right, you can just kind of slide these and you'll feel it sort of fall into that divot. So that way, these can't just fall out of the hole because they won't turn unless you push up on them. There's not a spring in there, there's just space. But if you push that up into that open space and then turn it, that's how you take them out. So made really nicely. So I hung the two handles closest to the machine because in the exercises that we've done so far, the handles have been used most frequently. I skipped one of the clips, I can use those later, just to make the spacing a little easier. Hung the rope here and skipped another one and hung the bar here. This is the roller that comes with the tonal accessory kit. And then this is essentially a thermos that I bought on Amazon recently. I won't bore you with the details. Again, well, you didn't see it because I had the camera off, but go to Amazon and look at these. It's called Iron Flask. I have no association with them. They aren't sponsoring this video. But the ratings are 5 stars with over 5,000 of them. And my wife has a 28-ounce one and she loves it. This is a 20-ounce. And obviously you can see why I got the color I did because it matches the tonal and all the accessories. That's it. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm happy. I'll try to engage with you and answer any questions that you have, help you in any way that I can, with installing this or, and if I didn't say this earlier, it was $90. I'm sorry, not the thermos. The shelf itself was $90, $89.99. I think that included shipping, if I remember right. And I ordered it last Saturday, I think, Saturday or Sunday, and it arrived today. Today's Thursday. I don't know where it shipped from. We live in Florida. But right away, they told me when it would be here, sent me a UPS tracking number, so I knew it was coming today. All right, that's all I can think of. Shelf's up. Seems to work fine. Seems to be sturdy. Excuse me. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.